Hey guys!
Alright folks, we're here today to check out the brand new video. This is the second single that Hinayana has released for their upcoming new album. The name of the song is Triptych, whatever, Visions. Anyways, finally, a full-length record from these guys. After 10,000 EPs that they've released for lack of creativity or thinking of better ways.
I don't know about that. But the thing is, it does take 2 or 3 EPs to make an album, right?
I know, but
you could have just not made
hold
EPs.
up.
Yeah,
hold it in.
They were premature with their releases.
They were premature
releases.
Yeah.
Instead of holding it in to make that full album, they're okay, and letting it go.
No, because they wanted to. It was all about the algorithm.
Oh,
because if they're releasing shit, then the algorithm.
That's very true.
The algorithm is picking it up, and it doesn't feel like they're Winter Sun.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Maybe whenever they would make an EP, they would have another song and they'd put that to the side just to make the album.
I don't like those ideas, because by the time you go do the album, you have some songs that are going to sound really old compared to the other material. Because as an artist, you evolve, and when you listen to an album that's one of the main problems with debut records. Because normally debut records were created over a huge span of time. And when you listen to a debut album, you can almost pinpoint the songs that were created early on in the stages of the band versus the one that were created 2 weeks before the album came out, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
One of them will sound very comfortable, and the other one's gonna sound like
something that was hot 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that's
just
normally
Smoke on the Water, but with a different tune.
Yeah, most of the times that's a huge issue, at least for me with debut records. But anyways, second single from the upcoming album. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Everything is bigger in Texas. Let's find out if it's better. They've came a long way since all of that shitty music that they were releasing in 2019 with Black Lion Records, I must say. I'm joking.
Yeah, that was some good shit too, man. Fuck.
Yeah, of course. I honestly, I always felt like these guys are in the wrong country.
Yeah, man.
They don't have they don't sound, they don't look, they don't feel like a North American band.
No, because listen, America. When it comes to when it comes to the North American, when it comes to North America and it comes to metal, I gotta say Canada lacks a little bit. We have good bands, but the volume of it, not so much.
But the country's not as big. I mean, the country. I'm not talking about it size-wise. I'm talking about population-wise.
I understand. In America,
they 34 million, not 340 million. You know, there's a big difference.
In America, they have such a big influx of really good bands, but they all kind of funnel into 3 different genres or 3 different heads of a genre: metalcore. Nowadays, metalcore, deathcore, death metal. Yeah, I feel like that's where that's like the main genre.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
In North America,
groove metal too.
Groove metal, but
that's not as
But I think
there's not as many.
Yes, you know. But I think North America in general.
Those three.
But America, I think it's more emphasis on deathcore and death metal. I mean, deathcore and metalcore. And then death metal's there too. Here it's more like
technical death metal for sure.
Here it's more technical death metal, and then some deathcore and not as many metalcore.
Some of the best Canadian bands right now are power metal. Look at
power metal. Yeah, I know.
Striker.
So we have those like in the those stars, right? But they have this very big influx of like really good bands. Obviously, bigger country, more population. There's that right. But I always felt like this band in particular didn't give me a North American vibe, American, Texas. Like, I look at, if you showed me just a picture of these guys and you played me just the first minute of this song, I'm like, fuck, like...
Sweden? Scandinavia? Somewhere in Scandinavia?
Yeah, like Sweden, like...
Finland, maybe?
Finland? I think more Sweden, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I could see these guys, like, touring with other Swedish bands.
Like At the Gates and shit. Well, they tour a lot with Wolfheart, so which makes sense.
Which makes sense. They have sense. That. We've always said, I think even...
They were the desert metal.
When we
versus
listened
the
to...
winter metal.
Was it Divine Order or Order Divine? Whatever song that we did from them first. That's what I said. Is that they reminded me a lot of Wolfheart. Which they do. But this song...
This song had a little bit more Insomnium, if you ask me.
I see more Insomnium, yeah. But I also feel like this band would also fit on a bill with like Orbit Culture.
Well, very different though.
But I think they'd fit on the same bill.
Dude, they're a great band. They'll fit on any bill. But I think like the tours that they did in Europe with Wolfheart, that's a no-brainer for me. Insomnium, like on a North American run, or even Omnium Gatherum.
Gatherum, yes.
Or Kalma, any of those bands, I think that would be a no-brainer as well. Because when you go on tour, if you're not an established band, I think what you have to look for is bands that have a similar sound to yours, because that is the market that you want to break through.
Yeah.
If you're
already established,
you can go on tour with whoever. It doesn't matter. Like right now in Europe, there's a tour going on right now that has Pain, that has Insiferum, Ryuji, which is the former Giza, and I can't remember. I think it's I Am Alone is on that bill, or Horizon Ignited. I don't know. I think it's I Am Alone is on that bill. So that tour, it's really eclectic. Because one is not like the others,
but each band have their own name. Like they've already.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is that some of the bands at the earlier on that bill are not as established as the two later on in the bill.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that when you're going on a tour that has that kind of an eclectic lineup, and you're like the opening band, it's a lot harder for you to break through or gain traction.
Yeah.
Because they're not going there for you, they're going there for the other bands, and if the other bands have a complete different sound from you, then they're not going to walk away your fans. Like, I just went to watch Wolves in the Throne Room with Black Braid, Gaiarea, and Hoax. Hoax are the odd ladies out. Everybody else is a black metal band. And then they are like a goth rock, dark rock band, like unto others. It doesn't, like, it's hard for them. They're getting exposure, but is that the right exposure?
It's not.
I would argue it's not. Because the right like you're in a lineup filled with black metal bands. Obviously, the fan base coming to that show is coming for the black metal bands. Now, if you're a black metal band opening on that lineup, now that's a different story, because that's how you break ground.
Yeah, because people
there are fans of black metal, so they're gonna be like, "Oh, new band! I discovered a new band, whatever." So when I saw Hoax, for example, with Amorphous, that made more sense because Amorphous has more of an eclectic sound.
It's like festivals that have. I'll use Prog Power for a perfect example. Prog Power, a lot of people going there are either going for prog
or power or both.
Or both. So when you get a band like
Evil
Invaders, and help me out here, the Halo Effect, like when you have bands like that don't fit really into those two genres, unless they already have a following and a name, and they're charismatic on stage, that even if you don't like their sound, you'll
still be attracted to
enthralled with their performance. It's going to be very hard.
Yeah, so
those bands.
So take those two bands out and put these guys in. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. So what I'm saying is that these guys have a great sound. They've evolved a lot. If you go back and you listen to some of their early releases, I was joking earlier, but if you go check out some of their early releases,
it's very Wolf-Hardy.
It to me, it felt at that time that they didn't have their own DNA yet.
No.
That they were taking influences from bands that they liked, and they were kind of making it their own. But it was really easy to trace back the roots of where those influences came from. When I listen to this, even though I still pick up quite a bit of Insomnium, for example, I see them going a little bit more outside the box than what I've saw from previous releases, and I definitely see a little bit more of them and who they are. Obviously, that's who influences them, so they're always going to have that similarity in sound. But I think a band like this, like when they tour with Wolfheart in Europe, I can't remember who else. I think Insomnium was on that bill as well. But I can't exactly remember who else was on that bill. I think those are the kind of tours they have to look for. So if they're touring in North America and they can package themselves in a tour that's headlined by Amorphous, for example, Dark Tranquility, the Halo Effect, like those kind of bands at the gates, you need those bands, because when folks go to the show, they don't go for the opener. They go normally for the headliner or the second band on that bill. Those are the ones that are bringing the fans in. So when you have this kind of sound and your sound ties really well with those bands, that to me, that's the right exposure. Because then you're going to be like, because most people are not like us. Like, I go in and I listen to whoever.
Yeah.
I don't care. We discover on two others on a bill that had Arch Enemy and Behemoth. And I walk away feeling like they were the best band of the night. But that's us. The majority of metalheads, when they buy a ticket to go to a show, they buy a ticket to go see 1-2 bands, and it's within that genre that they're looking, right? So if you were completely outside of that genre, you're not going to get much exposure on that package. And I think these guys really need a few more of these tours, a little bit more high profile bands where they can piggyback off of those and really hit the North American scene. I don't think they're at the level where they can, and I wouldn't advise to do like a small tour run unless it's like around where they are, or like East Coast, like a really small tour run, because those, once again, like the people who are going to see you at those shows are people who already know you. So there's not much to be gained.
Exactly. There's no following to be gained.
There's not much to be gained. You have a new record coming out. I think it's time for you to start looking at really pushing the envelope, piggybacking off. Dark Tranquility, most likely they're going to be on tour next year in North America, because they're playing at Prog Power.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're not just playing at Prog Power. I'm sure they're doing a North American run. You have Amorphous doing the same thing. So I honestly feel like those kind of bands would be a perfect fit for them. Even an Insiferum, if Insiferum is doing a tour, something along the Calma, those kind of bands. Because I feel like the people that would go to those shows would discover them, and it would work really well. I think you have to be methodic in that thought process.
And then when you say you're from Texas, everyone's gonna go like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, the talent is there.
Yeah,
this song sounds amazing. I really like the sound of the guitars. Feels more powerful. Feels a little bit bigger. The drums sound a little bit bigger. You know what I mean? Like the whole production on this track sounds really good. It sounds really fat. Has a nice big production behind it. They're a great band. All the tools are there. It's just, obviously not releasing with Napalm Records is not the same as releasing with Black Lion Records. I mean, Records is still there, but it's not quite the same thing. So obviously it's going to open doors to a whole new audience. But let's face the facts, is when you go on the road, that's where you're going to pay your dues, and that's where you're going to open some doors. Not just open some doors, but allow you to then hop on other tours, bigger tours, and continue to move. Yeah, and continue to move from there, if that's what you want to do. But I honestly feel like these guys have all the right pieces. They have all the right pieces to the puzzle. It's just a
should
matter of
do
putting
some-
the puzzle together.
Exactly.
That's all.
There's no missing screws.
But I've always been a fan of these guys. From the first video we ever checked, I've always been a fan of these guys.
Great talent.
Because they have great sound, great presence. But now I feel like there's definitely a growth. When I look back once again,
They have their own. They have a DNA.
their DNA is starting to become a little bit more noticeable of what they are, who they are.
They're less of a mashup and more of like a pretty good, clean cut. You know, the DNA is coming in. Yeah.
This is us. I agree. At least that's the impression that I got listening to this song. All right, guys. This was a good one, as always, from these folks. So hit us up in the comment section about these guys. Once again, their album is coming out on Napalm Records, so keep your eyes and ears open for that. Check out their social medias for all the pre-order links and all of that good shit. And we'll see you all at the next video.
See ya.